Quote, "Nothing is impossible for those who act after listening to the counsel of persons of known probity." Meaning of the quote. This quote speaks to the transformative power of wise guidance. It asserts that when individuals are willing to seek advice from those who are morally upright and experienced, people whose lives reflect truthfulness, integrity, and wisdom, their actions are more likely to be effective and successful, even when facing seemingly impossible challenges. The phrase persons of known probity refers to those whose character is tested, trustworthy, and consistent in virtue. Their insight is not clouded by self-interest, ego, or deception. Acting after listening to them means acting with both knowledge and moral clarity, qualities that dramatically increase the likelihood of success. In essence, the quote reminds us that while action is necessary for progress, right action, guided by ethical wisdom, is what turns the impossible into possible. Spiritual perspective. From a spiritual perspective, this quote highlights the principle of seeking truth through guidance. In many spiritual traditions, the seeker is encouraged to humble themselves, listen deeply, and be receptive to the insights of those who have awakened to deeper truths through experience and inner purification. People of probity in a spiritual sense are not necessarily famous or scholarly. They may be quiet, humble individuals who have cultivated inner clarity through reflection, discipline, and love for truth. Their words carry weight, not because of authority, but because of authenticity. Their counsel helps us transcend our ego, confusion, and impulsiveness. When we listen to such people and act accordingly, we begin to align with the flow of a deeper order. Call it conscience, higher intelligence, or universal harmony. In this state of alignment, obstacles dissolve, paths open, and our actions become charged with purpose and power. The impossible becomes possible because we are no longer acting from ignorance or fear, but from insight and trust. Scientific perspective. From a scientific or rational standpoint, this quote touches on the principles of informed decision-making, mentorship, and cognitive trust. In psychology and neuroscience, decision-making is influenced by cognitive biases, emotional reactions, and incomplete information. Acting alone often leads to errors, especially when we overestimate our own knowledge or ignore critical data. This is where the concept of probity enters. A person known for honesty, objectivity, and practical wisdom is likely to filter out bias and see situations clearly. In complex fields such as medicine, engineering, or leadership, professionals rely on guidance from mentors, protocols, or experts. These are people whose judgments have proven reliable over time. When we seek their counsel and act on it, we are not just following advice. We are integrating tested knowledge into our decision-making. This is akin to the scientific method itself, testing, refining, and learning from those who have gone before. Moreover, social science shows that groups and communities that value ethical leadership and mentorship tend to innovate better, solve problems more effectively, and build more resilient systems. Let's bring this wisdom to life through a small story. The Bridge Between Dreams. In a quiet village nestled between mountains, a young woman named Leela dreamed of building a school on the other side of a dangerous ravine. Many children from the neighboring village had no access to education, and the ravine had claimed lives during the monsoons. Everyone told her it couldn't be done. The land was unstable, the costs were high, and the dangers were many. But Leela wasn't deterred. She sought out an old mason named Arjan, who had spent his life building structures in the most difficult terrains. He lived simply, spoke little, but had a reputation for never compromising on safety or honesty. She walked for hours to meet him. He listened, nodded, and finally said, "You can build the bridge, but you must use stone from the northern quarry, reinforce it with steel, and build before the rains." He gave her a plan, but also a warning. "Don't take shortcuts, you'll be tempted, but the foundation must be pure." Leela followed his guidance to the letter. The village came together, and over months of toil, the bridge was completed. It held firm through the rains and allowed the children to cross safely to the new school. People called it a miracle, but Leela knew the truth. It was the result of wise action guided by honest counsel. How it applies to our everyday life. This quote carries deep relevance in modern life, where choices are many, distractions are plenty, and genuine wisdom is rare but precious. 1. Career and life choices. We are constantly faced with important decisions: what job to take, what investments to make, which relationships to nurture. Acting alone or based on fleeting emotions often leads to regret. But seeking the advice of those who live with clarity and ethical strength, mentors, elders, or wise friends, can prevent errors and help us grow with direction and purpose. 2. Emotional situations. In times of conflict or grief, our emotions can cloud our judgment. A person of probity won't fuel our anger or tell us only what we want to hear. They help us regain clarity and encourage compassionate, balanced action, something that often leads to healing and resolution. 3. Leadership and responsibility. Whether you're managing a team, raising children, or guiding a community, the quality of your choices depends on your ability to listen deeply and act with integrity. Leaders who surround themselves with honest advisors and act on their wisdom often achieve what others deem unachievable. 4. Personal growth. Wise advice doesn't always feel comfortable. It often challenges our assumptions and demands inner growth. But by acting upon such advice, we break through limitations and evolve in ways we didn't think possible. This quote is not just about success, it's about how success is achieved ethically and intelligently. It reminds us that the impossible becomes possible not through blind ambition, but through humility, discernment, and alignment with trustworthy wisdom. To listen is an act of openness. To act is an act of courage. But to act after truly listening to those of character, that is the bridge between struggle and success. Thank you for joining this exploration of wisdom. If this message resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe for more insights into timeless truths. Remember, every great journey begins with a single step, and every great idea begins with a strong foundation. See you in the next episode.